Well, hello and welcome back for our second video on the properties of matters. Now we're going to be looking at chemical properties, and look at those images on the screen. I noticed something different about these images than all of the images that were included in the physical properties notes. It's that they're moving. And yes, you're going to say, oh, it's because they're GIFs, but that's done very intentionally, and I'll tell you why. Before we jump into these notes, write down 3 words that describe this fire. Go ahead and pause the video, write down your words, and then click unpause, and we'll move forward together. Okay, what words did you write down? Hot, maybe. Moving, perhaps. Flowing. Reacting, perhaps. If you wrote down any of those types of words, chances are you wrote down words that can be defined as chemical properties. Okay? A chemical property is the ability to produce a change in the composition of matter, meaning what the stuff itself is made of. It changes the stuff and you can't get it back. It can only be observed as the matter is changing or reacting. So whereas physical properties were just kind of like hardness, is it thick, does it flow easily with the viscosity, those types of things. Chemical properties are dynamic, changing, moving, reacting. All right. The physical properties we wrote down on the left, and now I'd like you to take down these notes on chemical properties. The first word is reactivity. The second word is flammability. And the third word is toxicity. Okay, so check this out. Reactivity is the first word we're going to look at, which is how readily a substance combines chemically with other substances. Okay, so write down that combines chemically, right? I'm going to spend a little bit of time here on the word reactivity because it's really, really essential to understanding chemical properties, right? It's easy to see on the left side of the screen how this is reacting, right? Look at that elephant toothpaste. It's a huge one. They're dumping the 2 chemicals and they're mixing them together, and then you get this big flowing reaction. Okay, obviously that's reacting. But look at that picture on the right side of your screen. You've got some rusty screw type bolts or nuts, wing nuts maybe you'd call them. Well, that's also reacting. Okay, rust is formed when oxygen is reacting with metal, right? So the metal is changing its composition and you can't get it back. Once something rusts, that part of it, that tarnished part, is forever rust. You're not going to get that back into metal. Let's look at this. Reactivity is noticed anytime a gas is produced, something is bubbling, something's color is changing. Even a sour taste is an example of a chemical reaction because it's taking the saliva inside your mouth and reacting with the food to produce that sour taste. So that sourness is actually a chemical reaction. All right. Let's write down this. This next example is the word flammability, which is a material's ability to burn in the presence of oxygen. Right? So if something is on fire, think about that. It's changing the composition or what that material is made out of. If you light a paper on fire, you're not getting it back. It's going to be ashes, right? If you melt an ice cube, it'll turn to liquid. You can get that back. You just freeze it again. But if you're lighting something on fire, you're not getting it back, and that's an example of a chemical reaction. Lastly, we've got toxicity, which is the ability to cause poisonous effects in living things. Check this out. This is it's called a golden poisonous frog. It's one of the most deadly frogs in the world, and it can be extremely dangerous even just to touch it on the outside. It's gotten used to producing this toxin as a way of protecting itself. That's called toxicity. In summary, materials have both physical and chemical properties. Physical properties can be observed without changing the material, and chemical properties can be observed while something is changing. Okay, go ahead and keep going in your packets. There's a matching activity following this video as well as a mastery check. And then once both lesson 1 and 2 are done, we can begin our labs on the physical and chemical properties of materials. All right, see you in class.